Hello, I'm Lydia Talbot. Welcome to Sanctuary. Serving Illinois since 1867, the Lutheran Social Services of Illinois is one of the largest statewide social service providers. LSSI provides critical programs for Illinois residents, including foster care, mental health services, alcohol and drug treatment, affordable senior housing, residential programs for people with developmental disabilities, and services that help families who have been impacted by incarceration. This look into the critical faith-based professional care provider at the intersection of faith and public service will challenge what you think about your politics and your faith today on Sanctuary.
My name is Bill Fleck, and the first time I found out about LSSI was when I was 8 years old at St. Simon's. I had been at that church in Sunday school since I was 5 years old. And our pastor sent the richest man in the congregation, it was during the Depression, but he's still rich, out to Nachus. He says, go out there, I hear they have some needs and some problems, see what you can find out, what we can do to help them. And that was what would have been 1933, yeah. So he found, first thing he saw that some of the little kids were sharing beds, single beds, because they didn't have enough beds, so he went to Dixon and bought enough beds and I don't know how many, and mattresses, so they all had a place to sleep. And then Nachusa became part of our church budget. And then that funneled down to a Sunday school kids, and we started collecting our pennies and nickels, because that's about all we offered those days, a dime maybe at Sunday school, you know, so that we could give that money along with the church money to Nachusa for the orphanage there, yeah. During the Depression, my dad had a woodworking shop to make his violins and mandolins and guitars and all that, you know. A real violin is carved out of a block of wood, out of spruce on the top and maple on the bottom, and it has to be hand carved. Well, Daddy would trust me with tools and show me how to use them. Then when I got into the Navy and asked if I could work towards a carpenter's rate, and I got to be second class, and that was working on boats. Another new experience. I think the scariest moment was climbing down that cargo net, small island called Eby, right next to Kwajalein. We were outfitted as Marines when we took that island. We had backpacks, gas masks, helmets, rifles, shovels. I mean, we were so loaded. And I thought, geez, if I lose my hold on this cargo net and it's going back and forth, and I don't land in that boat, I'll go right to the bottom, you know. We were living in tents. We hadn't built up the island yet. It was still a mess. And I had no tools on the island except a saw and a hammer. Around 5 in the morning, it was dark. The officer of the watch, he Fleck, he says, we got a dead sailor and we don't have any coffins. Go down at the end of the island, there's some bombed out Japanese buildings. You might find enough wood. So I went down there, and yeah, there was wood there. It was all weather beaten, rusty nails. So I found some boards, cut them to size, saved the nails, and it was still just sun coming up. And all of a sudden, it's like that sun just popped out over the horizon, and that bright light shined on me, you know. And I says, oh my God, this is resurrection morning, this is Easter. And it just hit me then. And I said, here, this boy's folks are probably at church praying for him. Here I am building a coffin on Easter morning. I mean, that sort of stuck with me.
My name is Stefan Potushnik. I'm pastor here at Christus Victor Lutheran Church in Elk Grove Village. For several years now, Bill is involved in this cross ministry that he builds in his garage. And he found out that the youth would like to go to the National Youth Gathering at the ELCA, and so he thought it would be a great idea, or the youth director thought it was a great idea, to hand out crosses. We gave him a quota, about 5,000 crosses we need, and for a single person to make by hand without big machines 5,000 crosses is quite a task. So Bill got on it, and every day he's in his garage and is making out of oak wood beautiful crosses, and brings them pretty much whenever he comes to church. He brings a bag, and we have now a large amount already, so soon we will be ready for the National Youth Gathering to hand out these crosses.
Good morning and welcome to Good Shepherd Sunday.
Every year, Bill is a champion of Lutheran Social Service for us. He comes and does the reading. Usually he shares a personal story, how he and his late wife Jean, the good work of Lutheran Social Service of Illinois, and is really inspiring us to join him in being the hands and feet of Jesus in our community.
He's one hell of a person. He's a real faith-based human being, and probably the fairest and the most generous and kind and thoughtful man I think I've ever met. I think LSSI has played a very important part of his life. The common thread is his faith, his need to spread the gospel, and that is the way he can do that. In this little workshop, this is how he can spread the gospel, and giving it to as many people as he's giving it to, and to the kids. I hope that they'll be grateful and they'll understand that this was made by somebody with a lot of love and a lot of faith.
When you think about a 96-year-old gentleman who's been a philanthropist from the age of 8 years old in supporting not only LSSI's ministries, but many ministries, and caring for God's children and inspiring others to do that. And this is a cross that is made from one of the pews at St. Simon's Church, where Bill first began his journey of philanthropy. And it's just amazing that this cross reminds me every day of Bill Fleck, his inspiring story of giving.
Whenever he speaks about LSSI, he's quoting this Bible verse. For I was hungry, and you gave me something to eat. I was thirsty, and you gave me something to drink. I was a stranger, and you invited me in. I needed clothes, and you clothed me. I was sick, and you looked after me. I was in prison, and you came to visit me.
Everybody's got some money that they can spare. I'm one that'll ask for $1 if I can get it, you know, and that all adds up, because I tell them about the good things that LSI can do with that money, and I would feel that they've got to feel good that they're part of it, that they know that that money is being used as they would like it to be used, and that it goes a lot further than any other outfit I know that does good work.
My name is Carlindia Newton, and I am the Family Peer Support Specialist here at Lutheran Social Services. I help families navigate systems. If they have a child who has a mental illness, then what I do is help them to understand the mental health system, who to talk to, how to get in touch with mental health agencies that provides those supports to the family and their child. My own experience was, it was difficult, I should say that. It was difficult. My daughter at a very young age was experiencing difficulties at school. And so I said, oh, you're going to school. This is something you're required to do. You have to do this. You have to have an education. You have to learn. I never thought that there was anything wrong. But in actuality, she wasn't being lazy. She wasn't able to do it. She wasn't able to connect the dots. We were at the doctor one day, and she just had a meltdown right there. And something is wrong with me. I don't know what it is. Something is wrong with me. They learned that she had a bipolar diagnosis, and she was depressed. From that time on, I was able to connect the dots And that's when I started trying to learn how to get her the help that she needed. So anything that I can do to help another family, I'm going to make sure that I do that. Don't be in denial. Open up your heart and your mind and seek out the services that you know that your child may need. Lutheran Social Service has been in existence for 150 years. People know them. They get the services that they need. Having those type of people with knowledge, understanding, helps. And I'm glad to be a part of the Lutheran Social Service family.
For young children, play is a critical part of successful therapy. In support of LSSI's family mental health programs, the Women's Network held a therapy toy shower. Their generosity was the impetus for creating a therapeutic playroom at LSSI's Portage Cragen Counseling Center on Chicago's Northwest Side.
My name is Megan Sadarski. I'm a mental health clinician here, one of the bilingual staff on the third floor. Our therapeutic playroom has a bunch of different fun, new, exciting toys that are developmentally appropriate for our young clients. And it provides a great opportunity for us to not only engage our young clients with these new and exciting options, but also for them to have a safe and supportive environment in which they can play and feel comfortable and at home with expressing themselves. We've got a variety of different toys available. Our dollhouse to our play kitchen set that gives our kids an opportunity to express themselves in a way that feels natural and comfortable to them, so they're able to react and reinvent kind of what past experiences have happened to them through play. Similarly, we have blocks, we have Legos, and that kind of helps promote this idea of problem solving and decision making skills that kids are able to debut through those types of play. We know that play is extremely important for our young clients. Being able to meet them where they're at and be able to engage them with what they find interesting, which happens to be play, really allows us to not only build that therapeutic rapport with them, but for them to also feel comfortable enough to express themselves in fun and new ways. Thank you to the Women's Network. We really appreciate all of your support.
My name is Amy Zagroba, and I am a former resident of the recovery home here and a current resident in the LSSI sober living apartment. I literally went from the door of rehab to the door of LSSI. When you get sober, you get a lot of clarity. I can see alcoholic behavior from childhood. My mom was an alcoholic. I was in a house where the big book of Alcoholics Anonymous sat on our coffee table. For most of my life, I was armed with all the knowledge that you need to not become an alcoholic. And I didn't start drinking alcoholically until I was about 40. It went from drinking occasionally on the weekends to drinking every weekend and a couple nights a week to drinking every weekend, every night of the week, and eventually became drinking every day, all day. It led to me losing my job, my kids, my apartment, my car, and really left with nothing. I can think back on the third suicide attempt, them saying in the emergency room, if you're gonna detox, you need to tell us because you could die. And even then, I had this moment of, no, I'm okay. I just had a few drinks last night. And then about an hour later, sweating and shaking and feeling like I was gonna die, and then just verbally saying, I'm gonna detox and I need you to keep me from dying. I lived at LSSI's Healthy Start Recovery Home for 8 months, focused on recovery. There's a lot of structure. When you first get here, it can be a little overwhelming, but then it becomes second nature, which is, I think, the goal. There was staff that held me when I cried. If I couldn't sleep, would let me come and hang out in the office with them and just talk to me. The design of the program is really to help you integrate back into society and be successful. After 8 months, I was offered a room at Sober Living Apartments called Walsh House. It's a co-ed apartment building, 2 people to an apartment. It's essentially independent living. I have a kitchen, so I'm able to cook for myself, which has been a huge joy for me. I really love to cook. I still do one-on-ones with my counselor. I stay very connected here, but I feel much more like a self-sufficient independent adult that's, going to work and cleaning my house because I choose to, not because I'm told to.
For Amy, I think that her IOP treatment was important to her because it really gave her a safe space to be honest about her recovery and the consequences that her addiction has caused her in the past. And I was able to watch her build relationships with people and really implement some of the techniques that we had talked about as far as being part of a healthy relationship.
Sarah is there to help me become a healthy, better human being. And so having that balance is fantastic for me. I really had great relationships with my kids, and then there was just this very short time period that they saw me really get bad. To have your kids tell you that they're proud of you, it's amazing. LSSI, they made it possible for me to slowly and positively go from being in this horrible, messy, depressing, awful place to being happy.
My name is Jerry Murray, and I'm the Executive Director for Children's Community Services. LSSI has been around for 150 plus years, and so it started off from the heart. It started off from caring, it started off from being benevolent, into trying to make better opportunities for those kids that didn't have homes or families. I know that I can do a better job of thanking our foster parents because we've got folks that care enough to step up and say, I want to help a child, or I want to help a sibling group that has fallen on tough times and ended up having to be in foster care. We certainly could not do this work without our foster parents.
We are licensed foster parents, and then when there's a need, a child coming into care, then we get the call. Day to day, I love just loving on our kids and getting the love back. There's just a million things I love about it. They're part of our family.
Each one's unique, each one has their own personality. Our kids have every time we've accepted a kid, they've kind of just rolled with it and accepted them as like their brother or sister and just treat them like a family.
It's absolutely been the most rewarding experience of our entire lives. And throughout the whole process, we've had some amazing caseworkers. They are really they help drive it, because there are days that you're just like, I can't do this. We had a little boy for 2 years, and I'm like, I can't let him go. I had expectations, and it was hard, and they're so great. They're just there to support you and support the family. My kids, they are our future. I ultimately want them to grow up successful, whatever that means for them, but I want them to know that they're loved. I want them to be able to trust others. I want them to be able to have a future that's aside from chaos. I mean, our life is chaotic, but it's a good chaos. I want them to know that they can do anything, that they have the power to do whatever they want as they grow up. Every single one of them has touched our lives, and I believe every minute that they're with us, we're touching their lives.
My name is Rebecca, and I'm a foster and adoptive parent through LSSI. LSSI was great. They did a good job of answering all of my questions, of making sure I had the training that I needed. And then once Lexi moved in, they did a great job of making sure we had the support around us that we needed. I had gone into the process wanting to be an adoptive parent, and usually that entails getting to know the child and meeting them several times before they move in. But she was open for adoption and yet needed a home that night. And she's this little sprite of a kid and came in the front door, and just, you could tell she was trying to figure out what was going on. They had told her on the way over in the car that she was getting a new mom, and so called me mom from the moment she walked in the door. It's kind of the before Lexi and the after Lexi parts of my life. I mean, she brings so much joy and so much resilience, and she laughs all the time, and I can't imagine not having that now. I don't know what I'd do if she wasn't there. And so we're family. I mean, it's like any family member, you love that family member, and they enrich your life so much that I can't imagine not having that.
Whenever somebody want to hear my story, I tell them, I'm a foster parent, this is how it happened. Because I once myself was a foster child. And I knew growing up, I was in a home with children, different races, different skin tones, hair, color, eyes. And we were all told to be brothers and sisters. My mother always said, yes, that's your brother, that's your sister. And then throughout the years, we got people steady coming in, coming out, coming in, coming out. And I knew as I got older, I said, well, I wouldn't mind doing this because I saw what she did, my foster mother did. So that's what inspired me because I'm in the system. And I can relate to most of these kids. Timing is everything in life. And I knew that if I didn't do it, it was never going to happen. I made the phone call, I got the letter in the mail, came to orientation, and the rest is history. 3 months. I started in October, I was done in December. License and all. Quickly. I'm like, wow. And then the boys came, of course, 6 months later. So when graduation came for my boys, I just emotionally lost it. And these are just tears of happiness, not sadness. I'm happy because that lets me know I'm doing something right. What would the outcome have been had they been with someone else? I don't know. My son, he told me one time, my oldest son, he said, I probably would never have graduated had I stayed at the last foster home because she didn't like me. She was always putting me out. And he's one of the best children that I have. No problems, no discipline. He doesn't talk back to me. Just a good kid. So, this is real. I'm committed to this. This is not a joke. This is not about the money. The money, you cannot put a price on a child's life or a child's future. You cannot. And if you could, it's not enough. It's just never enough. At the end of the day, I can sit back, I've done my job.
Foster care is such a critical program. We here at Lutheran Social Services across the state, we are committed to ensuring that our youth in care have the safe and stable homes where they can feel like, I belong. I still have value, I still have purpose. And it's crucial. We cannot provide the care that we need for our youth without the foster care program.
My name is Pamela Miley. I'm a licensing representative for Lutheran Social Services of Illinois, located in Rockford, Illinois. I also am the educational liaison working with the schools. Bethany and Joe Paternoga started being foster parents for Rockford LSSI about 3.5 years ago. They had been foster parents in the past and adopted 2 children. When they became foster parents, they almost immediately got 2 children placed in their home. They have shown to be an open family, compassionate, very insightful to the needs of their kids.
When we first looked into becoming foster parents, my wife was having trouble, conceiving and having a child. And at the time, I was working at a place where there was another coworker that I knew had like 12 kids. I really respected him for what he did and the lives that he's impacting. And I thought, you know what, there's plenty of kids right here that could use our help, and kind of started us down that path.
For me, there was always a desire, and he and I talked about it too, to foster parent and adopt, even if or when we could have our own children. We needed to decide if we were in it to kind of foster parent or adopt. And LSSI wanted people who were going to love these children and stand with them and walk with them. And we decided that regardless of the outcome, that we were willing to foster parent and possibly adopt. And that no matter what it looked like, if it meant we were never able to adopt a child and we just fostered and they went back home, that we would never regret being that light of hope and healing for however long or short it may be. We jumped in with both feet, and we jumped in early. The ways that LSSI has supported us. Obviously, we were licensed with them over 23 years ago, and when we decided to get relicensed, we could have went with other agencies. We still chose Lutheran. That speaks volumes.
LSSI has supported us when we needed the support. They're with us every step of the way to support and promote and to keep our family unit together.
Beth and Joe Paternoga are very compassionate, dedicated foster parents, even though they run into difficulties sometimes with some of their kids. They've had kids that have had issues they still are able to persevere.
Throw out your expectations. Each situation is unique and different, and whether you have the child in your house for a weekend or a lifetime, you're investing in them.
It's so important to invest in children in foster care. To see the growth and to see them begin to heal, to watch them overcome and grow and thrive, it's super exciting, and it's what makes it worth it.
I would describe this family as crazy, but yet caring and loving. I think college for me is gonna be big because I'll most likely be moving away from them and I'll be on my own. It makes me want to actually succeed and do good in school and my job and just life in general, and work hard at the things I want to succeed in.
Now is the opportunity you have to chart a different path in their life.
Foster children are so valuable and they have so much to give and to offer, and if people would just be willing to look beyond the mess and straight at the heart, we have the ability to affect the future now.
We're glad you've been with us for this special edition of Sanctuary. Your thoughts and reactions to issues and ideas at the intersection of life and faith are important to us, and we want to hear from you. Email us at gcbm@ameritech.net, visit our website at gcbm.org, and write to us at Greater Chicago Broadcast Ministries, 77 West Washington Street, 2nd floor, Chicago 60602. That's Greater Chicago Broadcast Ministries, 77 West Washington Street, Chicago 60602. We close now with this memorial tribute to Amy Bateman Hensold, who died May 6th. At the age of 100, Amy was the longest living major donor to our Greater Chicago Broadcast Ministries, and proud to support our mission of commitment to ecumenism and religious tolerance. Her daughter Nancy said her mother's heart gave out after a long, valiant struggle that she undertook with grace. Her last words were, "I'm ready for what happens." I often told Amy that her steadfast support to our Greater Chicago Broadcast Ministries was like a transforming butterfly of hope. All of our Greater Chicago Broadcast Ministries staff, board of directors, and viewers like you will continue to cherish her living legacy.